At this time, I would like to call to the stage Chris Hannebeck, Vice President of Product Management with Revere Security. And originally we were going to have Jasper Gill, CEO of Alert Enterprise, but he got called away to an emergency meeting. So pinch hitting for him is Josh Axelrod, who actually did an absolutely fantastic job at the NERC SIP compliance workshop. And I'm sure is going to represent the organization quite nicely. Jim Alfred from Director of Product Management with Certicom, and Chris Dunn, VP of Technology, Information Assurance at SafeNet. And so this is the Security Solution Vendors Panel. So we had a lot of discussion yesterday from organizations that make several different products. However, what organizations often really need are sort of unified or solutions that encompass more than one very specific area. And these people represent organizations that have actually created products which are designed to address specific needs. So I guess the best way to start this would be to ask everybody, give a brief overview as what do you see as being the the problem or the challenge, and what does your organization sort of propose as a solution for the challenge, very specifically. So we can, I guess, we'll start on that end with Mr. Axelrod.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Sorry, Jasvir's not here. I hope I can fill in for him adequately. My name is Josh Axelrod. My background is I'm a NERC SIP auditor. I was an auditor for 38 registered entities across the Western Electricity Coordinating Council region, Midwest Reliability Organization, Southwest Power Pool, and CERC regions. Through that experience, I think the one problem that I saw uniformly was the protection of cyber assets by managing people. The human factor is the biggest risk that we see in cybersecurity, and being able to properly manage access, monitor that access, develop good situational awareness and risk visualization, and then create good policies that we can actively enforce to protect cyber assets against the misuse by either an internal threat or external threat caused by people. That was the biggest problem that I saw. And the reason that I joined the Alert team was because of a very innovative solution they've come up with to address the management of access and the control of access by people to prevent the misuse, to visualize the risk. Coincidentally, everything that I just mentioned here is one of the problems that I saw uniformly. So what the Alert Enterprise solution does is it's an innovative kind of enterprise level layer software that sits on top and connects all of your existing infrastructure. It takes all of your already existing cyber access authentication devices like Active Directory, LDAP, application authentication that may exist within EMS systems like ABB, OSI, whatever you may have, and it correlates and connects them with your physical access control systems like Secure, Linnell, ProWatch, whatever you may have, brings them all together and allows you to centralize provisioning of access, manage that access, see how escalation of privilege may be occurring, detect for abnormalities in behavioral trending, and bring that risk up to a higher level, allow you to visualize it, allow people that are in security, in compliance, to see what's going on in your system and manage that access, reduce your risk, and do things to prevent the misuse of your system. So that's the problem that I've seen through my audit experience, and that's how Alert has developed a really new and innovative solution that hasn't existed in the market before to address those types of problems.
Great, thank you very much. Well, as I remember some of the figures I've heard quoted before, and some people even claim it's higher than this, over 70% of security issues are people related, internally within the organization. It's not usually the bad guys on the outside, it's usually the good guys on the inside, right? Jim?
Yeah, Jim Alfred from Certicom. Certicom is a specialist in cryptography, public key cryptography, well known for our work in elliptic cryptography in particular. But we're also specialists in secure solution design. So we've designed things like satellite conditional access systems, and encryption systems for telematics deployments, for mobile devices. We're now owned by Research in Motion, and our technology is used extensively in the BlackBerry. It's also used in quite a number of other mobile platforms. So we have a lot of experience in terms of that, of not just the crypto, but the overall end-to-end security. And I think the thing we look to this, at the smart grid in terms of our experience and the challenges, proper key management. So these are constrained endpoints. There are basically a lot of these devices haven't seen proper key management before, and you have constrained networks, constrained devices, and then again that issue of at the human side you have a head end operators that don't really know that much about security. So you have to design a system that's robust and secure, usable by operators, but that's going to protect the system end to end, allow for key updates, rollovers, et cetera. So that's the area we focus on, and I think that's an area that's still a gap in a lot of areas of the smart grid. So we're addressing that for AMI, but there are areas like distribution automation, et cetera, that could benefit from this as well. The question would be, is this going to move overall into, you talk about interoperability, is there going to be a move towards PKI for the smart grid? I guess those are some of the open questions. There are ways you can use PKI for key management. Is it appropriate for every kind of application or protocol? Which ones would you want to use that for, or where would you want to use something more custom? Thanks.
So, Jim, how many, you know, it's fairly well known in the industry that the security has been a very important part of BlackBerry devices since almost the inception. How many BlackBerry devices are actually out there today?
I'm guessing there have been 100 million shipped or something like that.
100 million shipped. So, yeah, it's actually very significant point to consider as an organization that actually has had quite a bit of experience in dealing with large numbers of devices that need to be secured. I'm not saying that when we're talking about AMI that it's necessarily a one-to-one relationship, but it's always important to understand organizations that have had experience in securing large numbers of devices can always contribute quite a bit to this ecosystem.
Yeah, and I'd say the other bit, you know, so we do work with a lot of other companies. So we're working in the Zigbee Alliance. Our technology is deployed in Zigbee 1. We're active in Zigbee 2. And so we do try and work with the vendor community and say, let's come up with the best solutions. I would say there's a lot of fear and loathing of Certicom. Don't quite understand that. You know, we're a commercial organization, love to do business. But in terms of that, we have quite a lot of expertise, and we do invest quite a lot in standards to help people deploy secure key management.
Great, thank you very much. Chris Dunn?
So hi everyone, I'm Chris Dunn from SafeNet. SafeNet makes a lot of products, but the one I'm going to focus on today is our hardware security modules. Like Jim in Certicom's products, these products are focused in the key management area, and they're very focused on providing high-grade protections of some of the top-level keys, the high-value keys, that if they were compromised, your total investment in your infrastructure could be compromised too. So they provide very strong controls around the roles, and they providing you the tools to protect these keys in a way that not only cryptographically and physically protect them, but also logically protect them against things like insiders and things like that. So these devices can be used in areas for secure manufacturing, when you're issuing device identities to keys or to devices. When you're provisioning a device into your infrastructure, they can be used to protect keys that are doing message signing at the head-end systems or decrypting and encrypting messages to the endpoints. And they can also be used to protect code signing keys. So, you know, heaven forbid when the time comes that you need to do a firmware update to address a compromise, that firmware can be delivered to your endpoints in a very secure way because the keys that are used to sign them can be held within an HSM.
Great. And so I know SafeNet's done quite a bit of work in the financial sector, which is I always use this is a sector that has actually had to deal firsthand with not theoretical attacks, but daily attacks on the industry. And I know you've had quite a number of successes in that. Do you feel that some of what you've learned there can potentially carry over into the
I think
smart grid space?
absolutely. I mean, that industry is 25 years of attacks against devices like ourselves that have matured the product, and the protections that we use around the keys there are completely relevant to this industry.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. And of course, Mr. Chris Hanebeck, who was actually at our first event and one of the more entertaining speakers from Revere Security. Chris, can you give us an overview of Revere Security and your offerings, and what part of the smart grid you guys are going after? And
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Good morning, everybody. Revere Security is focused on securing small resource-constrained devices, basically microprocessors, specifically small microprocessors, 16-bit, 8-bit, etc. We got started through funding from the Department of Homeland Security a couple of years ago. They wanted to put encryption onto an industrial controller and onto a PLC, and put AES on there, and found that the controller basically fell asleep, never responded. And they came to our founders and basically asked whether it's possible to build a more efficient cipher, and that's what they did. After 2 grants, then the company basically took its own path, and our cipher is called Hummingbird. Was mainly influenced by our chief cryptographer, Whitfield Diffie, who is the inventor of public key cryptography, along with of course Hellman and Merkle. And so we have a history of building encryption, decryption protocols, but also key management specifically for small resource-constrained environments. One of the areas that we focus on is RFID, and mainly we wanted to go after that because if we can secure an RFID tag, a passive tag that is in your passport, in your toll tag, etc., then we can probably secure anything that is small and resource-constrained. So our niche, Mike, to your question is we focus on the least power consumption. We focus on a very fast speed, being able to carry out more computations on a resource-constrained microprocessor, and then also using the least amount of memory that you could use on a chip.
Okay, thank you very much. That was very interesting when I got to meet Mr. Diffie at the RSA conference in your booth, and I was telling people, somebody was asking me about it. I goes, he looks a little bit like a really smart Wild Bill Hickok, with the long hair. It was great to meet him because he's such a significant figure in the history of cryptography. It's great. It's great to have somebody like that in your organization, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So I think what's important for everybody to realize is it's great that you're all sort of offering these sort of solutions, but I think the more important point to bring out, and again I'll start on that end again, is what really matters is, are you actually deployed in the field? And what are the actual successes that you've seen from that? In other words, to the extent that you can speak about it, I know some organizations can't always speak to specific deployments, but to the extent that you can, if you could speak, a little bit about what have you actually done in the world of, smart grid security, that you could say, yes, this has been a sort of a success, something that we've actually, been able to sort of work towards solving. I won't say completely solved, because in security nothing is ever solved, but making good progress anyways. And we'd start over there with Josh again.
Yep. Thanks, Mike. So the Alert Enterprise solution is currently being deployed and implemented in the field. With regard to smart grid security specifically, that's definitely the market that we're looking to penetrate. But as I've said, what the Alert solution does, it sits on top and provides a centralized location for managing access of people to your systems. So obviously, as the technology emerges and changes for smart grid security and with respect to access control, that's where we'll really begin to implement within smart grid. Now, within the utility space in general, we have made a significant penetration in that market, working and implementing at companies like Florida Power and Light, Oklahoma Gas and Electric, Northern Indiana Power, Public Service Company, and their parent company, NiceWorks, working there. We've also been fortunate enough to be given a grant from NERC to actually do a remote substation monitoring program and start working on that at Kansas City Power and Light. So we're currently doing that. So we are deploying in the field. We're currently in our implementations and working through those implementations. We have some very complex solutions, particularly at Florida Power and Light. We're connecting over 60 systems across physical security and IT access control systems. So these complex installations take time, and we're certainly working on that. So that's where we're currently deployed and working towards. And everything's going well. We're succeeding in those areas. Obviously, you know, with complex installations, managing timelines is very important, and we're working towards that, and implementations are going well.
All right, thank you very much.